Over on Ruins, who have lost a player to AXTMG, who are now spread around on Tambang. They find an outpost, a really nice pickup. As we do hop in, though, to the scrap. This is longer than 10 seconds. I'm getting word that 1 minute and 47 is bigger than 10, and that is going to confirm that R8 are full of hot air.
That's it. Well, you know what? Hot air, yes, in the prediction of time constraints, but maybe not in their prediction to wipe out Yangon Galacticos. Now, we'll see so much confidence, so much reverence, but if they don't win this fight, that's going to be a big blow to their ego. And also, the stakes are pretty high for this hot drop, and the reason why, well, Yangon Galacticos is a team outside of the top 8, but barely.
Now so news or a Malay or the Harry you maintain.
Puts them back into the
top 8.
They're going into finals, and already Kinatrop is actually getting active, surprisingly. And Yangon Galacticos, with their head on a swivel, are starting to rotate out of paradise and now focus, at least right now, on the solo of Kinatrop.
It feels like the play there for Kinatrop was that they knew there was a hot drop over Paradise yesterday. They wanted to try and poke their noses in, maybe set themselves up for a third party. Unfortunately, Yangon Galacticos, they actually just decide to fully disengage. A nice adaptation coming through from them. An early drop, grab a couple of weapons if you can, move on south. So Kinatrop, their outpost, that gets spotted, and instead they are the focus of the pickup. And that point goes to Yangon Galacticos. In the meantime, this AXTMG Nongshim Red Force fight that's been spread around, not inside the ruins this time, seems to be going fairly poorly for both sides.
That's right. Yeah, AXTMG got the first knock and full finish. And Nongshim Red Force, they lose one. Managed to take down one from AXTMG. They nearly get a second. And AXTMG says, well, we're dipping out. We're trying to leave. We do have a straggler. He's going to be on the hilltop just up to the left. And there he is. And if he doesn't have the awareness that Devotee is just above him, and you do got some noxious Red Force around, so it would be a big challenge. But for Benny, he's there.
They know exactly what wall he's playing on. Drawing attention, burning Benny low as well. Another Molotov forced on through, but still Devotee not going to take the shot. Instead, he's going to leave it all up dry. And up on the hillside as well. Leaves start out slowly.
I think it 48 points. They finish up in the top 5. But with everybody gunning for a qualifying position. And also for Kinatrop. Galacticus, and well, it seems as if Yangon Galacticus was able to pull off the hat trick, picking up all 4 Kinatrop out the first team.
Cái cây sao nó nên xem mình mà. Nó xem mình mà ngáo xem nhau. Alo bạn nào lệ. Nghĩ à quá. Nó xem gì tí đồ vào. Cái quan gì lính mà Ali. Con nè. Quan gì Ali lính mà giàu à vì vậy đó.
Through. As we take a look at the replay, this is how Nongshim influence Rage as well, trying to break out of boot camp. Looks like they've moved into the hillside successfully.
Yeah, and AXTMG's most likely
no? Para ne thoa bi ro Japan ne ti ne de. Japan ne 4 ယောက်လုံးရှော့သွားပြီ
Only losing 1 player in that fight is pretty successful. Team way towards the bottom, getting started early. It's only going to better their chances to making top 8. Team Vision, a roster that performed very well and had stellar moments throughout group play, had a disappointing run throughout day 1 of the survival stage. A team on your screen with all 4 units still looking to work their way up if they can. I do wonder intense game with Adrian starts to go out there along with another one of his teammates, getting closer to AXTMG, who starts to fire off some shots. Teams need to respect AXTMG, and where they currently are in ruins, they push too aggressively. They could be losing their lives just like Nongshim Red Force did.
The question is, even with good positions and good performances, for AXTMG, it may be too little too late, right? They're chasing a marathon down where other teams are going for a stroll around that bubble. They are on 12 points at the start of this match. Obviously, picking up 5 is brilliant, right?
Sure.
But when you're looking at trying to get up
โอ้
towards
ไล่
70
นี่
points
สวิง
today,
เกียร์มา
they
ป้อ
need
เล
to
ย
go up over the
เดี๋ยว
course
ไม่
of
เอา
the
ไอ้เขา
day,
เด้
getting up towards, was that 58 points?
That's right.
To be able to get to 70 points, and even then it's not certain. So getting 58 points is almost a 10-point average. That is a top team performance level, and it will be really difficult for them to try and earn that sort of points. We'll have to see if they're able to be up to the task, because we get a replay of how Kinotrope walked into a building and did not walk out.
That's right. Solo was taken down very early on. Yangon Galactica said, well, let's take advantage of this. Let's push into Kinotrope. We know basically where their whereabouts are going to be. And like I said, they pull off the full team wipe. Good on them. So from R8 versus Yangon Galacticus to now the fight for paradise turns around. Yangon Galacticus are gone, and now it's Regnum Karya taking their place. R8 opposite of them. This is another tense fight to talk about what's at stake here for Regnum Karya, still relatively healthy within that top 3 position. They can have maybe 1 or 2 bad games before they start to get put on high alert. But for R8, this is a must-win fight. The shots are starting to ring out, and Regnum Karya is going to strike first.
Immediately getting that flush as well, earning that point. Damar steps up with the DPS, but it's just a little bit out of range to fully connect, and Regnum Karya just keep this unlocked. 2 players almost immediately. They survived the hot drop here. Reflections, but it feels like they weren't ready for the second phase of the game, which is called not staying in your drop location.
Hey
It's
yo.
going to be up to 2 players from R8.
Hey yo, bro, la maro.
Pretty much have to fight. I mean, yeah, you can leave this, but I don't think they want to. R8 want to establish paradise if they possibly can. Losing this could very well knock them out. I'm almost guaranteed, really, to knock them out of the top 8 contention, making them forced to fight on Erigel and Miramar. Regnum Karya rolled in. They've been on fire throughout day 1 of the survival stage. They clearly are already off to a great start with 2 players down. Prestige, Marth, they are gone, forced to disengage, and now fight the entire lobby as a duo.
Now let's take a look at the rest of the lobby
Hey,
as well. The circle has centered up towards the north side of Quarry here, which means that there are teams on either side of the Quarry that are going to be able to be a massive barrier to rotations around this circle. Alpha 7 are actually in a very solid spot on the northeast side of this Quarry to stop teams from moving around that east side. Unfortunately, it's unlikely that they're going to be able to farm too many points for it. Well, they'll maybe get 4 from Gamax unless the Falcons try and roll in behind them from Cave. On that east side, it's that west side that's going to get a little bit more fraught. And that is going to be up to Fireflux. It's going to be up to E-Arena to be holding down the west side of that Quarry position.
My opponent doing it. Time ban
in the survival stage, a chance to potentially not make it into finals to defend their title.
What the fuck?
Maybe they want to go for the challenge. Hora, you got Fireflux, right? E-Arena. They see Alpha 7, maybe they get a bit more aggressive and put a little bit of extra attention on where they currently are. But I agree with you, John. Where Alpha 7 is currently at. Falcons, Narvalo with Redox. And Narvalo, that beautiful 1v3 against the roster of Alpha 7 yesterday. Put them into the grave in game number 5. But one of the teams that was hurting Falcons the most yesterday was R8. This time around, doesn't look like they're most likely going to run into each other. Even if they do, Falcons is going to have the numbers, so they might be able to beat their boogeyman. But for Falcons' sake, looking good. You got all the members up. They've got a lot of real estate, not only in front of them, but also behind them, basically a limited line of sight. So for Falcons, I'm expecting a pretty decent game 1, which is historically what they normally start off with.
Well, they'll have to try and keep this one going. They're right on the edge of the south side. They're worried about crossings to their west. They needn't be, but they don't know that, of course. They're worried about teams moving down the west side, rotating in late, coming in from that south edge. There is currently no one playing that area, but they are just being careful. They're crossing their I's and dotting their T's at the moment as it goes. You know, you can flip that one around if you want to, but I prefer this way.
Fair enough. R8 dangerously close to Vision. Volt being the scout. Maybe he calls out R8's weak. Maybe Vision chooses to challenge. But for now, that hasn't occurred. Intense game still out in the blue zone. Forced to go down south. Across Paradise. Maybe Regnum Karya, being the aggressive roster they are, spot them out and potentially go for a challenge, but I expect IG is going to be just fine. We'll have a zone shift relatively soon. And it's going to center up a little bit. Alpha 7 still feeling pretty good. Fireflux dead center. Vision okay. Yangon Galactic Galacticus and Regnum Karya starting to get relatively close. So once IG, Power, right, AXTMG, and especially Falcons way down towards the south start to come up. Falcons especially are going to have their hands full with the Arena and Alpha 7.
Got a couple of teams on the linchpin positions here. Power, they're going to have to make a decision as to where to move. So that southwest side, the dynamics of it are really going to change depending on if they go north, if they go in towards the center, if they try and head east and fight E-Arena. We've also got that position on the southeast, and Gamax behind could change things up. There's also that wild card of the Falcons. Everybody else has fairly linear approaches. It can get a little bit predictable, but those are the places where I think things could really change depending on how they want to approach this one.
Gamax, Alpha 7 starting to inch closer and closer to each other. Brinko is way off in the distance. I don't know why he's currently there. He needs to get up there and join his roster if they want any attempt at attacking Alpha 7. But for the meantime, they're just going to continue to be very aware of where they currently are at, but they don't want to challenge necessarily. I do notice Influence Rage, though, as well as AXTMG are starting to get very close. And here comes that Regnum Karya IG rotation. IG going straight past Regnum Karya. The question is, where do they stop? Well, Toshpik says enough is enough. I'm ready to fight.
Vision not quite having sightlines over towards Regnum Karya. Keeps them safe for the moment. An intense game, actually sending out further towards the north, trying to get an angle onto Regnum Karya's rotate in, but they're not going to quite find it there. They're keeping it on lock and key, but there's the first knock, and Rafa lands the spray down onto Wild. Commit to go for this res. It looks like they want to, but the nades are going to follow it up. That's going to do a lot of damage. Not quite finding the flush just yet.
Knowing intense game, they want to push this. You notice Silence starting to push forward. He's going to take an advanced spot. Silence, though, caught off guard to the left, takes a bit of damage, and now you've got to back up. Silence wants to continue. They know they have an early knock. They have the man advantage. Question is, can they continue to take apart? Yes, Silas, a power player in his own right, also down. Regnum Karya down to 2.
And there is a res coming on through. Toshpik next to fall down to the floor there, and Regnum Karya all of a sudden relying on Loxy, but he has got the beans. Let's see if he can jump into the fight. Silence now, going low behind the car, will have to hide, go for the heal. Loxy on full HP, but he threads the needle, and the shot is good. A 1v2, Yangon Galacticos could potentially move into third party. He's still going. Loxy has more legs in this.
Yeah, Loxy definitely can pull this off if he's careful. Snake in the grass through the smoke. He's going to be the linchpin. Loxy takes damage, forced to retreat, and that's going to be, I believe, Saycloud, if I'm not mistaken. Behind, taking him out.
A big flex out into the blue zone there from Yangon Galacticos. He's sightline from where he was. It's stage 4. You can survive for long enough, and he took down Regnum Karya. They end their match with only 2 points from that northern side.
But the good thing is, for intense game coming from the Americas region, they got all 4 alive, and they're getting their health back. And now they can challenge Yangon Galacticos. This game could be a stellar one and a great start for intense game to make a miracle run for top 8. The Brazilian team's underperforming. That's what the desk said, and I fully agree. Even from the Americas region, right? I'm super passionate about him. But for intense game, this is a great start. Silence once again trying to be that aggressor. This time, he gets fully punished.
Taken down and flushed very, very quickly there. Nades now pouring in. Intense game wants some retribution, but Yangon Galacticos won't go down quietly. They left from Paradise Resort. They sliced through Kinatrope. I know their walkout looked like they had the samurai swords, but they've been turned on their owners there, drawn and thrust back to the gut from Yangon Galacticos, and they are playing well from this northern edge.
Intense game. They're so close to the see it here, right? Really appreciate it for Yangon Galacticos' perspective is they backed away and forced IG to push into it.
Alpha 7, they're starting to fumble on the southeast edge. Answer over towards Yangon. 7 set it on the desk. They need to kick off with a win. They've just been denied that. So do the other Brazilian teams, and that's the same story.
I'm ringing the alarm bell. Starting now, game 1. They are already out. They get away with 1 point. They were already outside of top 8. Alpha 7. The fact that Gamax, who's been on the struggle bus, takes them out. A full team wipe. Everybody stays alive. I'm really worried for our A7 boys.
Are Alpha 7 bad?
Something is just not clicking, and I sincerely don't know what it is.
Power seem to have found it. They are going to mount up for an approach towards AXTMG's players who are starting to
where
he is. A slow approach from Power onto this circle. I said that they could be the wild card here on the southwestern side, but they have played it sensibly. They've lost one player in this fight, but
Pika
I'm worried about what they could do to this.
Low ball, no, they are lot.
From the east edge, you've also
big
Rage, who have gone 2-2 on the western side.
Yeah, Influence Rage is going to be me. I think that's going to be the team to try and maybe third party this truly.
YouTube channel လေးသွားပေးပါဦး YouTube မှာ live လွှင့်တာပါလေစိတ်ညစ်တယ်ရော support ပဲ
Worst case scenario for Power, they get pincered between E-Arena as well as Influence Rage. Not a good spot to be in. And Influence Rage and both E-Arena do get active, firing in on Power.
ကိုမှနေရှင်နဲ့ဘယ်လိုလုပ်မှာတော့လို့
The north side fights, the south side wiping of Alpha 7 to ostensibly the worst team in the tournament. There is going to also be that Falcons rotation, right? We were looking at that Falcons position on that south side. They have gone for a little bit of a miracle dash. It's something that we've seen them do before, right into the middle of the circle. They're now holding two really important buildings.
Okay.
Shacks, fair enough, but important buildings.
Oh, baby, look at the diamond. Oh, look,
the south side to hold it, and everybody else who could crash onto their locations right now, they're being held out by one another. Once those fights conclude, rather, Falcons are going to be a little bit more under pressure. As soon as Gamex are free to go, the south two for Falcons.
From
Ying on Galactica sit at a current 6 eliminations and more potentially to come as they focus their attention on division. But Bolt hits a nasty shot from a distance in conjunction with Marcelo. Bolt will continue to reposition, maybe challenging that of Romeo. Route, by the way, for Falcons looking to get revenge onto Gamex for taking on Alpha 7. Romeo continuing to hit some nasty shots. Vision putting up a wonderful fight. This could go any which way for Ying on Galactica as well. Only one more player remains. Hora is starting to also get in onto the Vision fight. Noah very weak. Marcelo should very weak himself, but manages to stay alive, believe it or not.
Yango Galacticos chiming in. Romeo's still alive and still giving it large. One player down on the back lines for Vision now. Just one player remaining left standing for them. Noah desperately trying to get the res, but he has to face the fight first. And Sky, Jiggle, both pouring damage down over this hillside. Sleepy's there with a backup in the ghillie suit, and it will go undetected by them. Over on the north side, Vision are wiped away, and Aura will continue for that fight.
Holy,
to take shots across every which way.
Right, and even when Hora ends up winning this, they need to move forward. And Falcons, who's ready to gun you down, Gamex as well, and I'm loving where Fireflux is currently at, pretty much having the only hardcover POIs outside of Narvala and Ralph and Redox, who's going to be for Falcons, relatively split. Gamex has been on a terror. 4 eliminations. But for a Gamex roster who has yet to show themselves, not only do they take down Alpha 7, but they're also challenging the top dogs of Falcons, who are currently up top. But this fight, this push up the hill, it's almost impossible.
It is very difficult when you're dealing with players that are sat up in that watchtower. You need to plant those nades in. You need to be accurate with them. But Ralph seems to know where he's fighting against. So do they. They pobble a nade over, but don't find the knock. They need some backup here. It is just Ralph on this position. Narvalo is off in the distance. They're playing split right now. And Arthur puts another stone up. Over the top. Narvalo's soloing Aura on that northeast side. And actually, Aura could change the tune of this one.
Yes,
they could roll straight into Gamex instead of uphill towards Ralph.
They absolutely could. And if they take down Gamex, surely they're going to take down the 2 from Team Falcons. Ralph repositions. E-Arena could also fire some shots. Aware of his surroundings. Nade onto Arthur. Going to be a bit short. They've got to continue to push up. For Falcons, though, continually getting picked apart. Joker takes down another from the Falcons roster, leaving them starting to tighten the vice grip, getting closer and closer. Needs to be ready for the attack.
ပြန်လိုက်တာရောက်ကွာဟုတ်လားမတွေးလိုက်ဘူးဘာမှမတွေးလိုက်တာဒီမှာတိုင်ပတ်နေလို့ကဲအသေးလေးနေပါဦးတော်မှာတော်ဘန်းခံတာတို့ပြိတ္တာဒီပဲကွာ
Okay, they're slowing down. That cut across from the arena doing a lot of work as the Falcons get taken down in the meantime.
I don't mind the slowdown. Only one more player to remember from Gamex, and I do hope they do remember. We have seen solos wreak havoc on rosters who are even 4 stacks. We witnessed it yesterday with Catch. We can witness it once again here. Starting to take down Influence Rage. The solo from Gamex getting active onto Hora. Jiggle's going to be down. Luckily, they recover. They take him out. The question is, will Hora have to fight at it with 3? Yes, they will. A full elimination law. He'll go ahead and die to the blue zone. We're down to our top 3 at the moment. Looking to take game 1, but Sleepy has other plans.
On this one, just about darts out of the blue in time to prevent himself from getting knocked. Fireflux back up now. They will be getting to 3, so it is 3 players alive remaining. Shifting away from Fireflux. Dominantly on the high ground as well. You can see what a lovely angle Mormon has. So does No Fear over towards Fireflux. And it is really trading off that aggro. Ora.
Pika ဒီနေ့TikTok မှာနည်းနည်းတိုင်ပတ်နေလို့ပြိတ္တာနည်းနည်းတိခံပြီ TikTok ကဘန်းခံတာ PC မှာဘန်းခံတာလို့နော် PC မှာဘန်းခံဖုံးမှာရအဲ့ထူးထူးဆန်းဆန်းအဲ့ကြောင့်မလွှင့်လိုက်တော့ PC မှာလွှင့်လို့မရအောင်ဖုံးမှာလွှင့်လို့ရတယ်စောက်ဆိုင်ကဲအေးရတယ်တော့တူတယ်ရောင်းအေးရချစ်ကန်ရဖို့ကများသွားပြီပြိတ္တာ
Very impressive, not only in group stages, but also the survival side of things. Sakura taking some damage. Mormon starting to push up, but no drama here. E-Arena takes game number 1 in scintillating sensational fashion, and that should jump them up into top 5.
Big news here on this match. Alpha 7 again go down early in 10th game. Not a great performance from them. Influence Rage still in 10th place as well. The Brazilian teams are faltering. They are fumbling. Maybe the twilight of the region here. The PEMWC, they need to stand up tall because teams are Falcons and will take them on any day of the week. You cannot let off the pace because this is what happens.
That's it. Big hits to some top dogs, but for others starting to shine true.
PC မှာပြန်ရမှာပြိတ္တာအဲ့တော့ပြန်ဝင်မမီတော့ငါဖုန်းနဲ့ပြရတာဖုန်းမှာလိုက်လွှင့်လို့ရတယ်ဝိုင်းမယ်
But they start to get serious. That's 1 game done and only 5 more games remain. We're going to go to a quick break. Coming your way.
Okay. ဒီနေ့တော့တို့ပဲကြည့်လိုက်ပါမနေ့ပြန်ညကြမှာပြန်လွှင့်မယ် Okay ပါအဲ့ဒါခုပဲနိုးလာ Okay ဟုတ်ဘူးလို့အောင်ဒီကမင်းတို့ဘယ်လိုပြောပြရမှာ PC မှာဘန်းကန်ထိရတယ်ကွာဖုန်းမှာကြောက်လိုက်လွှင့်လို့ရတယ်အဲ့ထူးထူးဆန်း What the fuck ဒီ YouTube channel လေးက pikaonlive ပါ pikaonlive ကိုလာလို့ရပါတယ်။အဲ့ခုနမရရသေးတယ်ဗျ။ခုနမမဟုတ်6မှတ်ရတယ်ဗျာဒါ။ဟို run point နဲ့ဆို6မှတ်ရတယ်။ရတွေ့ရပြီ။မဟုတ်လေဒီမှာပြန်ဝဲမလာလို့စာကိုထားရတာလေ။ပြန်ဝဲမလာလို့စာထားရတာလေ။ တပွဲပြီးတယ်တပွဲပြီးသွားပြီညီမမြေပုံပြီးသွားပြီမင်းတို့အသေးလေးနေမှာငါ view တက်မှာရအောင်လေ Yo, a daily, but they are Nate. A daily be on Nate. Tira, a boy, that Nate. As a boy, a daily be on. Okay, I don't have you better. Bobala. Yo, mình mấy à, quán nhâm chỉ là cú mà. Chuyện về, xây cũ nhà lần à. Em nhà lần à. Không biết cho chuyện về là. Xây cũ nhà lần à. Em nhà lần à. Không biết cho chuyện về là. Tổ chi, tao bỏ i거 chi vào rồi. Tổ chi. Em là tại vì phone mà ya này để chế tiền à mày. Oh my god. Sao phim qua lại lãnh ra này nào đi. Tổ chi, bỏ i거 show lại vào rồi. Cái quán gì cũ mà bà bị càပြောbà đấy. Chuyện mà mình chuyện này nè. Mình ta vẫn chỉ rồi. Đi chuyện về, đây cũ nhà lần à. Đây nói nhà lần à. Không biết ta chuyện về là. Haná đều. Con này là bị cay ông rồi nhỉ hả? À, 야비. À, 꿈을 팔로 야비 브레이다. 아, 아까 뛰어. À, 야비, 꿈을 팔로 야비. 디안이 팔로 야비. 아메. Con này bị cay ông rồi nhỉ hả? Có gì mà nào này đi. Có gì? Anh gì đều quay trên này mi nó. Có gì anh gì đều quay trên này mi nó. Ok, anh quay con, anh quay tay chỉ lại không mẹ. Ngoài nhá quay lại đi là. Cái này mà tu, anh nghe quay đến sao thế mà bị. Đi mà sắp về, đi mà nấu chả nữa hả? Alo mà khá nào. Nấu chả này ngà đi mà nè.
Okay. You know, look, the thing about Alpha 7 is they can come back. They really can. But I can't dispute it. Like, they are on the struggle bus. Things are not going okay for them. And I am sincerely starting to get worried. Now, we did notice yesterday, Alpha 7 did land Lapoka for the first time in PMWC. That's normally their go-to spot for the Americas region. Of course, here for PMWC, they've been going up towards Georgia Pole. That's been their location. So I wonder if now they're maybe starting to go back to their default spots that put them at PMWC to begin with the way Squash and all the co from Alpha 7, I believe they are in fact going to be going to their own Alpha 7. I believe they WC to begin with. Starting to go back to their default spots that put them at PMWC to begin with the way Squash and all the co from Alpha 7, I believe they are in fact going to be going to their OG landing spot. So now we're going back to what worked during Americas, what has worked in seasons previously. I like this because Alpha 7 are in trouble. They've been trying new things. Now it's time to go back to what has worked, your bread and butter.
I mean, this could also be an artifact of the plane path as well, right? This plane path, very eastern leaning from Stalber down to the military base. It feels like Alpha 7. I wouldn't be too surprised over the next two matches to see them go back over there.
Oh my
gosh.
Okay, let's kick things off with an eastern plane path and a hard southwest circle.
Wow.
This is also nasty the plane path. There's a hot drop on a vehicle there. I think that's in Intense Game, who have just lost a player. I believe they've gone down to Ora, if I'm not mistaken. Our only casualty so far. Maybe a little bit more as well. Power drop one. Power. Oh, I'm going to dodge this vehicle. They can't get through the rock. He's like, yeah, but I've got a gun, mate.
He's got a gun, and the gun wins over the night. Power, one of the top